Maya wheeled her bicycle through the narrow alley just before sunrise. The air was cool, but she could already smell the faint promise of traffic and city noise. She always arrived before the world woke up. By the time she reached her little shop, the metal door was still dark with sleeping dust. She pushed it open, and the soft creak felt like a welcome song. Inside, the scattered tools rested in silent rows, waiting for her steady hands. She flipped on the single hanging bulb, and the brass glint on wrenches and screwdrivers sprang to life. Her shop was small, but tidy. A faded poster of a racing bicycle hung crooked on one wall. Plastic bins held spare parts labeled in Maya's neat handwriting. Chains, brakes, pumps, spare nuts and bolts. A wooden stool stood by the workbench, which still bore yesterday's smudges of grease. Maya wiped them away with an old rag, careful to leave a clean space for the day's work. She loved this routine. She loved the feel of solid metal under her fingertips, the soft hiss of air from a pump, the smooth turn of a tightened bolt. It was honest work, and it fed her pride. Not because she made a lot of money, she didn't, but because every bike she fixed carried a story. And every story reminded her of why she had chosen this life. By 7 o'clock, the first customers began to trickle in. An elderly man with a battered old cruiser leaned in the doorway, a flat tire and a disappointed frown. A mother pushed. A toddler in a tricycle that refused to turn left. A teenager wheeled in a mountain bike whose chain had slipped off during a rough ride. Maya greeted each one warmly, her voice soft but confident. When the old man handed over his bike, Maya knelt beside the wheel and examined it. A slow smile spread across her face as she pointed out the worn tire. "See here?" she said gently. "This rubber has almost no grip left. I'll patch your inner tube, but I recommend a new tire soon. It'll keep you safer on wet roads." The man nodded and watched quietly as she worked, her hands moving with practiced ease. He'd been coming here for months, ever since he discovered Maya's shop, hidden between a bakery and a laundromat. He liked how she explained things clearly, and how she never rushed. By 9, the sun shone through the dusty window panes, painting streaks of gold across the floor. Maya paused to lean back against her workbench. Her cheeks felt warm, and she noticed the small ache in her lower back. She had been at this since she was 16, helping her father in his own garage. It had been a small family business then, but that shop had closed when her father fell ill. Maya had borrowed money to start this place. Every month, she paid back a little, wishing the balance would vanish faster. Some nights when bills piled up, she worried she might have to close. But she held on, just as the thought crossed her mind. A bell tinkled at the door, straightened, and offered her usual grin. It was Mrs. Hernandez, her neighbor from 2 blocks down, carrying a plastic bag of snacks for the kids.
"Good morning."
"Maya," she called, stepping inside. She set the bag gently on the counter, thought the children might like some cookies after their lesson. Maya's eyes sparkled. She had forgotten that today was Saturday, the day she taught free bike maintenance lessons to neighborhood children. It was her way of giving back, of sharing the skills her father had taught her. "Thank you so much," Maya said, touching. "The bag? They'll love it." She glanced at the clock. 10 o'clock. Time to prepare. In a corner of the shop, she arranged small stools in a semicircle. She laid out a few old tubes, a wrench, a patch kit, and a little pump on a low table. She remembered how as a child she had watched her father teach neighbors the same things. He had believed that knowledge should be shared, not hoarded. Maya had learned that lesson well. Soon a group of children tumbled in, full of energy. There was Raoul, who always wore a faded red cap. Sarah, with her curly hair tied in 2 braids. Jamal, who carried his toy truck everywhere. And a shy boy named Leo, who never spoke until he felt brave enough. Today, though, one more child joined them. Zoe, who hesitated at the door holding a beaten pink bike. Maya waved her in. "Come on in," she said, her voice warm. "We're just about to start." Zoe looked at the tools, then at the other kids, and swallowed. Maya knelt to meet her eye level. "Hi, I'm Maya. What's your name?" "See, Zoe," the girl murmured. "Nice to meet you, Zoe. That's a nice bike you have there." "Wrong with it?" Zoe bit her lip. "The chain fell off and I can't get it back on. My mom asked me to fix it." Maya smiled. "Well, you're in the right place. Let me show you how. She guided Zoe to the workbench, placed the bike on a stand, and pointed to the chain. First, we inspect. See how the chain sits on the gears? When it falls, it slides down here. She gently lifted the chain back onto the gear teeth. Then she picked up a small wrench. This is a hex wrench. We'll use it to adjust the tension. I turn it this way. She demonstrated, and Zoe followed. The girl's expression changed from nervous to curious. Her small hands moved carefully. Like this, she asked. Yes, just like that, Maya said encouragingly. You've got the feel of it. When Zoe snugged the chain back correctly, the other children applauded. Zoe's eyes lit up with pride. Maya wiped her hands on a rag and patted Zoe's shoulder. Great job. Now let's test it. She spun the pedals. The chain glided smoothly over the gears. Zoe let out a small cheer as other kids gathered around to learn more. Maya felt that quiet pride settle in her chest again. Teaching these young faces mattered. She saw in them the same wonder she had felt when her father taught her. She saw trust in their eyes, and that was more valuable than any payment. By noon, the kids had scattered, each heading home with a repaired bike and new confidence. Maya packed away the tools and spilled the last few cookies from Mrs. Hernandez's bag into a glass bowl. She poured water into a chipped mug and sat down for a moment's rest. She looked around her shop, the neat bins, the posters, the rack of repaired bikes ready to go. It was her world, small but full of meaning. Footsteps approached. A young man came in, wearing a blue uniform. He checked his watch. Hi, Miss Maya. I'm here for the 12:30 fleet pickup. Maya nodded. Every Wednesday and Saturday she serviced a set of company bikes. Young man handed her a list, and she went into action again. She felt her strength return as she worked. The day was half gone, but she still had more bikes to fix. Yet even as she worked, her mind drifted back to Zoe's bright smile. She wondered what the girl's life was like. She hoped that whatever happened, Zoe would remember that even a small shop in a little alley could be a place of kindness and learning. She hoped the girl felt that same spark of possibility that Maya held in her heart. The sun slipped toward afternoon as Maya tightened the last bolt on the final bike. She stood up, stretched her arms high above her head, and inhaled the familiar smell of rubber, oil, and metal. It was not the scent of luxury, but it was real and honest. A week ago, she had worried about rent. Tomorrow, she would pay off another loan installment. But in this moment, in this quietly busy workshop, she felt strong. She knew her work mattered. She knew that every lesson offered, every bike fixed, helped someone. And that was the reward she would choose, time and again. Maya turned off the workshop lights. She locked the metal door and stepped outside into the soft glow of evening. Her back ached, her hands were stained with grease, but her heart was light.
All right.
She wheeled her bicycle home, already thinking of the next Saturday, the next class, and the next child's face when they learned something new. In her small world, she was building more than just bikes. She was building hope. The next Saturday morning arrived with a soft glow of dawn over the street. Maya unlocked her shop door and felt a small flutter of excitement. She had cleared space for Zoe's second lesson and laid out extra tools. A small oil can, a chain, cleaner, and a fresh rag. The wooden stools were back in their semicircle, and the low table held the same old tubes and pump from last week. Maya loved this quiet before the children arrived. Felt like the start of a new adventure each time. Soon the doorbell tinkled and a cluster of kids filled the doorway. Raul, Sarah, Jamal, and Leo all waved happily as if they had spent the week telling everyone about Maya's lessons. They took their seats on the stools, chattering about who had the slickest bike. Maya smiled at their energy. Then Zoe appeared, pushing her pink bike with a wide grin. Hi, Miss Maya, Zoe called, almost tripping over the threshold. She picked up speed and steadied herself in front of the workbench. I practiced on my own, but I want to learn more, she said, her eyes bright. Maya patted the seat of the stool next to her. Come sit, Zoe. Today, we'll learn how to clean and oil your chain. That will keep your ride smooth and help the parts last longer. She held up the small oil can. Have you ever done this before? Zoe shook her head. My dad showed me once, but I forgot how. She looked at the tools with determination. I want to remember. Maya nodded. Great. First, we'll remove the chain from the gears. Then we'll use this cleaner to wash away old oil and dirt. Finally, we'll put fresh oil on each link. She pointed to a chain hanging on the wall. Let's start by taking the chain off. She turned Zoe's bike gently so the chain was easy to reach. The other children leaned forward, curious. Maya picked up the chain tool, a small device with 2 handles and a pin, she explained. This tool pushes the pin out of the chain link so we can open it. Hold the chain here. She placed her finger just beside the link and guided Zoe's hand to hold the other handle. Push slowly until the pin comes out. Zoe squeezed the handles and felt the pin pop free. Her face lit up with surprise. I did it, she whispered. Exactly, Maya said softly. Good job. Yeah. Zoe, in removing the chain completely. Zoe held the loose chain carefully. Now, Maya said, we dip the chain into the cleaner. She poured a small amount of clear liquid into a shallow tray. Let's swirl it around. The dirt will fall off into the liquid. Zoe placed the chain in and stirred it gently. Bits of grime floated up. Maya gave Zoe a rag. Wipe each link. Make sure it's dry before oiling. Zoe worked methodically, wiping the links one by one. The other children watched, and Sarah asked, Can I try next? Maya smiled at their teamwork. After Zoe finishes, you can come up and learn too. When Zoe finished, Maya demonstrated how to drip the oil onto each link. Just a drop here, she said, placing the can's tip on a link. Move the chain through the gears so oil covers everything. Zoe repeated the motion, guiding the chain through her hand. The oil made a soft hiss, and the chain glowed with a fresh shine. Now, Maya said, turning the pedals, let's test it. She spun the pedals and the chain ran smoothly, no clicks or stiffness. Zoe's grin stretched from ear to ear. She exclaimed, See how much easier it is to pedal? Maya asked. Keeping your chain clean and oiled makes riding safer and fun. She looked at Zoe proudly. I'm impressed with how carefully you did this. The other kids gathered around to examine Zoe's shining chain. Raoul poked it lightly. Wow, yours looks brand new. Sarah nodded. I want mine to look like that. Maya adjusted her glasses. Okay, who's next? She asked. One by one, the kids took turns cleaning and oiling their own chains, guided by Maya's gentle instructions. They laughed when oil dripped on their fingers and frowned in concentration as they wiped away dirt. Leo, usually quiet, smiled wide. When he tightened a bolt correctly, Jamal told Maya about how he rode his old bike to school each day. While the children worked, Maya moved between them, offering advice and encouragement. She pointed out a stiff link on Jamal's chain and showed him how to free it. She helped Raoul adjust his brakes so they grabbed the wheel evenly. She reminded Sarah to keep a rag handy to wipe her hands. Every time she praised a child, their chests puffed up with pride. After an hour, the sun blazed higher, and Maya glanced at the clock. Time for a quick break, she said. Let's sit and have a snack. She brought out cookies from Mrs. Hernandez's bag and poured cold water into cups. The children munched happily, swinging their legs from the stools. Zoe looked around, her cheeks full of a cookie, and said, These lessons are the best part of my week. Maya smiled. I'm glad you think so. Learning is fun. She passed around extra cookies and took a sip of her water. The workshop felt alive with chatter. Maya loved how every child brought something unique. Leo's shy questions, Sarah's endless curiosity, Jamal's jokes, Raul's steady focus, and Zoe's bright enthusiasm. When the break ended, Maya announced the next lesson. Today I want to show you how to adjust your seat and handlebars so you can ride comfortably. She picked up an adjustable seat post. If your seat is too low, your legs hurt. Too high, and you can't control the bike, we'll find the right height for you. Maya went around measuring each child's leg height and showing them how to loosen and tighten their seat post. Zoe watched closely as Maya placed her foot on the pedal and lifted her leg. Maya marked the correct height, then guided Zoe in tightening the clamp with a wrench. Zoe tested it and nodded. Perfect, she said. Us. Maya showed how to set the handlebars. She explained the angle and height that felt natural, based on each child's posture. Zoe learned how small adjustments made big differences. Other kids followed, eager to make their bikes better suited to them. By the time the sun reached its highest point, the kids were sweaty and tired but excited. They took turns riding their bikes around the block in front of the shop, testing their new adjustments. Maya stood in the doorway, cheering them on. Pedaled by her bike running quietly, her posture upright and confident. She waved at Maya, and Maya waved back, her heart full. As the lesson ended, the children gathered their things. Zoe approached Maya with her bike. Thank you, she said earnestly. I feel like I understand my bike so much better now. Maya knelt and looked Zoe in the eye. You did all the hard work. I just guided you. Keep practicing, and you'll be an expert in no time. Zoe beamed. Can't wait for next week. She turned and rejoined the other kids, who were chatting about showing their parents what they learned. Maya watched them leave, one by one, their bikes in perfect shape. She cleaned the tools and folded the stools away. Her shop felt quieter. Again, but it still buzzed inside her head with the day's lessons. Maya took a deep breath and swept the floor, pushing away the last bits of dirt and cookie crumbs. She checked the clock. Noon. She smiled at the empty stools. Saturday brought new faces, new stories, and new memories. Teaching these children was more than a hobby, it was her mission. She believed that every skill she shared could change a life, just as her father's lessons had changed hers. Before locking the door, Maya paused by the window and looked out at the street. The city thrummed with activity, but inside her little shop, something special happened every weekend. She whispered to herself, "Thank you, Dad," and ran her hand along the poster of that old racing bicycle. She had come a long way from her father's garage, but the heart of her work, the joy of teaching, the spark in a child's eyes, remained the same. Maya stepped out into the warm sunlight, her back straight and her steps light. She knew that next Saturday would bring more challenges and more growing smiles. And she couldn't wait. ChatGPT said Maya arrived early again on Saturday, her steps light despite the long week's work. She unlocked the door and switched on the light, watching the metal tools gleam. Today she planned something special. The children would learn how to fix their brakes and gears. She arranged the stools in the familiar semicircle and laid out bright new brake pads and a simple gear cable set. A fresh rag lay at each spot, and she set a small toolbox in the center. As she worked, she remembered how proud her father looked when he taught her to tune brakes. She hoped to pass on that same pride. One by one, the kids arrived, chattering as they lined up outside. Raoul called out a greeting through the doorway. Ready to learn more, Miss Maya? Sarah skipped in next, her braids bouncing. Jamal bounded in behind her, carrying his favorite toy truck as if it gave him extra strength. Leo crept in quietly, but sat in the front row, eager to watch. Zoe was last, wheeling her bright pink bike with a confident smile. Her eyes lit up when she saw the new tools. Wow, those look cool, she said. Maya waved and invited them in. She pointed at the toolbox. Today, we'll fix brakes and adjust gears. First brakes, she said. She held up a silver brake caliper. See these two pads? They squeeze the wheel to slow you down. Pulled the brake lever on the handlebar, and the pads closed softly. But over time, pads wear thin. Then you have to replace them. She showed Zoe how to remove the old pad by loosening a small pin. Zoe's fingers trembled slightly as she turned the wrench. She finished the turn and lifted out the pad. I did it, she whispered, proud. Maya nodded. Good job. Now let's fit the new pad. She handed Zoe a fresh pad and guided her hand. Zoe pushed the pad into place and tightened the pin. When she pulled the lever again, the pad squeezed firmly. Maya smiled. Perfect. Now other side. Zoe repeated the steps, her confidence growing. One by one, the other kids came forward to swap their worn pads for new ones, each child proudly tightening the bolt under Maya's watchful eye. As they worked, Jamal's toy truck rolled across the floor. He paused his brake work to rescue it, placing it gently on a shelf lined with old bicycle bells. Maya laughed softly. Looks like your truck needed a rescue too. Jamal nodded solemnly, then got back to his brake. Sarah, who tended to chatter, asked Maya, "How do you know when a gear cable is bad?" Maya showed her a frayed cable. "Look for these little threads sticking out. They weaken the cable and you might not shift smoothly." She cut the old cable and slid in a new one, then guided Sarah to thread it through the derailleur and tighten it. Sarah's face turned serious with determination. When she pedaled and shifted without a hitch, she grinned. While the children rotated through each station, Maya moved quietly between them, giving gentle tips. She reminded Leo to keep his fingers clear of the spinning wheel and encouraged Raoul to press the brake lever firmly. She praised each small success. She saw Zoe's cheeks light up every time she figured something out on her own. Each time, Maya felt a warm glow inside. After the brake and gear lesson, Maya gathered the kids around. "Now let's test your bikes." She led them outside to the small block in front of the shop. One by one they rode, squeezing their new brake levers and shifting gears as they climbed a gentle slope. The wheels turned smoothly, the brakes gripped evenly, and the gears clicked perfectly from one ring to the next, as the kids whooped with delight. Zoe pedaled past Maya with her hair flying behind her. She stopped and called back, "Thank you, Miss Maya. I feel like a real mechanic." Back inside, the heat of the afternoon began to press against the windows. Maya offered the children cold water from a jug on the counter and passed out sponges to wipe sweat from their brows. Sarah said, "I never knew my bike could feel this good," Leo whispered to Maya. "I want to fix my bike by myself one day." Maya smiled and ruffled his hair. "You will. You're all doing great." When the kids had rested, Maya surprised them. She handed each child a small notebook and a pencil. "These are your mechanic journals. I want you to write down what you learned today and draw any tools you found interesting. Next week, we'll look back and see how much you remember." Zoe opened her book and drew the brake caliper in careful lines. She wrote brake pads in big letters below. Maya looked on, delighted by the neat drawing, as the lesson wound down. The children worked on their journals. Raoul sketched the wrench set, labeling each size. Jamal spelled gear cable and drew his truck beside it. Sarah wrote a short note in her neat cursive. Leo drew his favorite coaster brake, his expression proud. Maya circulated, admiring their work and offering praise. "Excellent sketch, Raoul. Very neat writing, Sarah. Good diagram, Leo." Their faces shone. Just as they finished, a gentle bell rang at the door. A neighbor from down the street stood there with a huge box on her hip. "I baked fresh muffins," she said. "I thought the children might like a treat after their hard work." Inside the box, warm blueberry muffins smelt sweet and inviting. Maya's heart swelled. She accepted the box gratefully and placed it on the counter. "Thank you, Mrs. Patel. You're wonderful." The children gathered around the box, their eyes wide. Maya handed out muffins and encouraged them to eat at the table. Zoe bit into hers and closed her eyes in delight. "So tasty," she murmured. The other kids nodded in agreement. As they munched, they chatted about what they would fix next week. Maya listened, happy that her lessons had sparked such excitement. When the muffins were gone and the notebooks were filled, the children packed up their bikes. Maya knelt to tie Leo's helmet strap. He looked up and whispered, "I wish my dad could see me now." Maya's throat tightened. She remembered how important her own father's approval had been. She squeezed Leo's shoulder gently. I'm sure he'd be proud. Leo smiled shyly. Zoe walked up last. She presented Maya with a small folded sheet of paper, her eyes bright. "I made this for you." Maya unfolded it carefully. Inside, in childlike writing, were the words, "Thank you for teaching me," surrounded by a hand-drawn border of little bicycles and tools. Maya's eyes filled. She glanced at Zoe, who swallowed hard, as if she might cry. Maya knelt and hugged her. "This means so much," she said softly. "Thank you, Zoe," beamed. I wanted you to know how happy I am to learn from you. Maya brushed Zoe's hair back. The shop felt suddenly full of warmth and joy. All the tiredness of the week melted away in that moment. The children gathered their things and headed out. One by one, they waved. Zoe paused and waved one more time before joining the group on the sidewalk. Maya watched them go, the sun casting long shadows on the pavement. She closed the door gently and hung her rag on a hook. The shop was quiet again, the stools empty, the tools resting. But inside, Maya's heart buzzed with the morning's laughter and learning. She placed Zoe's thank you note on the front of the workbench, right? Beside the toolbox. It would stay there, a reminder of why she taught. Not just to fix bikes, but to help children believe in themselves. Maya gathered her tools and began to pack them away. She paused to look at the poster of the racing bicycle on the wallets, bright red frame reminding her of speed and freedom. She whispered to herself, "You're doing great, Dad." She wiped a small tear from her eye and smiled. The world outside was busy and loud, but inside her shop, quiet miracles happened. Every Saturday. She locked the door and stepped into the golden afternoon, ready for the week ahead and the next lesson she would share. The next Saturday morning arrived just like the others, bright, peaceful, and filled with the promise of learning. Maya opened her little workshop before the city fully woke up. She wiped down the benches, laid out the tools, and prepared the lesson for the day, fixing flat tires and learning about air pressure. The sunlight streamed gently through the dusty window as Maya filled the water bucket to check tubes for leaks. She was excited. The kids had been making great progress, and she could see their confidence growing each week. By 10 o'clock, the small shop was once again full of laughter and eager young voices. Zoe was the first to arrive this time, pedaling. In fast and steady, she jumped off her bike and walked in with a huge smile. "Miss Maya, I checked my chain and brakes last night. They're still working great." "That's what I'd love to hear," Maya said, ruffling her hair. Raoul, Jamal, Leo, and Sarah followed closely behind, each pushing their bikes through the door with the same happy energy. They placed their journals on the counter and gathered around Maya like bees to a flower. Maya clapped her hands. "Okay, team. Today we're going to learn how to fix a flat tire. Raise your hand if you've had a flat before." Almost every hand went up. Good, it happens to all of us. But today, you'll learn how to handle it yourself. She held up a tire and showed them a small hole in the tube. Step 1, find the hole. Step 2, patch it. Step 3, test it. It's easy when you know how. She dipped the tube in water and bubbles formed at the hole. "See those bubbles?" The children nodded. "Ah! That's how you find the leak." She gave each child a tire and a small bowl of water. Zoe dipped her tire and spotted bubbles right away. "There it is," she said, pointing. Maya handed her a patch kit and guided her through the steps, sanding the area, applying glue, pressing the patch, and waiting. "Let it dry," Maya said, "then we test it again." Sarah and Leo followed along carefully. Jamal accidentally spilled his bowl of water, but he laughed and cleaned it up with a towel. "Flat tire? Now flat floor," he joked, and the others giggled. Once the patches were dry, Maya taught them how to fit the tubes back into the tires and mount them onto the bike. "I'll use the tire lever like a pro." "Done," she said, and pumped the tire full of air with both hands. Maya checked the pressure. "Perfect. You're getting good at this." By the end of the lesson, every child had fixed a tire and learned something new. Maya stood back and watched them. It was her favorite part, seeing them succeed with their own hands. As they enjoyed muffins during break time, Maya noticed a woman standing just outside the shop, leaning quietly against the bakery wall next. Dorothy was dressed in a sharp navy suit and held a leather handbag. She wore sunglasses, but Maya noticed her eyes were watching the children closely. The woman didn't step inside. She just observed. Maya squinted toward her and gave a small wave, unsure if she was someone's parent. The woman gave a polite nod but said nothing. After a moment, she turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Maya returned to the children. "Right," she said, "how about a little race around the block to test your tires?" The kids cheered. One by one, they zipped out of the shop, their bikes now smoother and faster than ever. Maya stood at the doorway with a stopwatch and cheered them on as they came back around, laughing and calling out their times. When the children returned, panting and red-faced, Zoe came up to Maya and said, "My mom said she might come today. She gets busy with work sometimes." Maya looked down at her. "Your mom's been doing a great job raising you, Zoe. You're kind, curious, and hardworking." Zoe smiled proudly. "She works at a big company. She says she's in charge of important things, but I think fixing bikes is just as important." Maya laughed gently. "Well, thank you. I like to think I help people in my own way." Zoe nodded, then rejoined her friends, who were now drawing pictures of tire patches in their journals. As the lesson ended, Maya handed each child a printed guide on how to fix flat tires at home. "This is for your toolbox at home," she said. "And remember, practice makes perfect." The kids waved goodbye and wheeled their bikes out the door. Zoe lingered a moment. "See you next week," she said, then pedaled off. Maya cleaned up slowly that day. Something about the woman in the suit stuck in her mind. There was something about her calm but powerful presence. It wasn't judgmental. It was curious, maybe even impressed. Later that evening, just as Maya was closing up, the door creaked open again. The same woman entered the shop. This time she took off her sunglasses. "Hello," she said with a confident but kind voice. "It must be Maya." Maya wiped her hands on her apron and nodded. "Yes, how can I help you?" "I'm Clara," the woman said, extending her hand. "I'm Zoe's mother." Maya's eyes widened slightly. "Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you. Zoe is a wonderful girl, very smart and hardworking." Clara smiled warmly. "She talks about you constantly. All week long, she's been teaching me what you taught her. She's more confident, more focused. I wanted to see for myself." Maya felt a bit shy under Clara's gaze. "Thank you. That means a lot." Clara looked around the shop. Her eyes scanned the tools, the workbench, the grease-stained rag on the stool, the journals stacked neatly. "You've created something special here," she said. Maya replied, "It's not a big place, but I want the kids to learn and feel proud of themselves." Clara turned back to Maya and smiled. "I should tell you something. I'm the CEO of Wheelworks Industries. We design and manufacture bicycles across the country." Maya's breath caught for a second. She blinked. "You're the CEO?" Clara nodded. "Yes, I run the whole company. And I've been looking for someone just like you." Maya stared, unsure what to say. She felt a mix of surprise, confusion, and disbelief. Clara continued, "You're not just fixing bikes. You're shaping minds. It's teaching confidence, giving kids a place to grow." Maya looked down, humbled. "Thank you. That's what my father did for me. I wanted to keep that alive." Clara nodded. "And you have. That's why I want to offer you something." Maya looked up, heart pounding. Clara smiled. "How would you feel about partnering with Wheelworks? We want to sponsor community repair workshops, led by someone who understands kids and bikes the way you do. You'll be fully supported with tools, a larger space if you want, and even a small team. You'd be helping thousands, not just a few." Maya's mouth opened, but no words came for a moment. Her heart raced. Her little shop, her lessons. Could this really grow into something that big? I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Say you'll think about it," Clara said gently. "We don't want to take your heart away from this place. We want to help you share it." Maya nodded slowly. "I'll think about it." Clara placed her business card on the counter. "Call me anytime, no pressure." Clara turned. To leave, she paused. "Thank you for believing in my daughter." Maya smiled. She made it easy. And then the door closed gently behind her, leaving Maya standing in her small workshop, surrounded by tools and memories and now, new possibilities. Her heart felt full. Something big was beginning, even if she couldn't see the whole path. Yet, she picked up Clara's card and read the name again. Then, she looked at Zoe's thank you note still pinned beside her tools. And for the first time in a long while, Maya let herself dream a little bigger. The next few days passed with a strange excitement buzzing in Maya's heart. Every time she walked into her shop, she looked around with new eyes. She still cleaned the tools, arranged the journals, and checked each child's bike like always. But now, everything felt different, like something much bigger was waiting just outside her door. The business card from Clara, the CEO of Wheelworks, sat neatly taped to the corner of her workbench. Every time Maya looked at it, she felt nervous and proud at the same time. By the time Saturday arrived again, Maya had made her decision. Would say yes. Not because she wanted to leave her little shop, but because the chance to help more children, in more places, was too meaningful to ignore. She still didn't know all the details, but she trusted that if she stayed true to her heart, everything else would fall into place. That morning, the children ran into the shop full of energy, not knowing anything had changed. Raul shouted, "Are we going to fix pedals today?" Sarah jumped up and down, saying, "I brought my neighbor. Can he join too?" Maya welcomed them all, smiling. But before the lesson started, she clapped her hands and asked everyone to gather around. "Before we begin today," she said gently, "I have something very special to share with you." The room quieted. Even Jamal, who was usually fidgeting with his toy truck, looked up and listened closely. Maya continued, "You all know how much I love teaching you about bikes. You've all grown so much, becoming more confident, more skilled, and more kind. And that means the world to me." Zoe leaned forward, sensing something big was coming. Maya took a deep breath. "Last week someone came to visit the shop. Some of you saw her. That woman was Zoe's mom. And she's not just a busy working parent, she's also the CEO of a big bicycle company called Wheelworks." All the kids gasped. Zoe covered her mouth in surprise. "She told me something that touched my heart," Maya went on. "She said the lessons we do here help more than just bikes. They help hearts, minds, and confidence. And she wants to help me reach more children, just like all of you." The kids looked around at each other, eyes wide. "She offered me a chance to start teaching in other neighborhoods too," Maya said. "To run more workshops, to bring tools, bikes, and learning to even more kids." "Will we still have class here?" Leo asked quietly. Maya knelt down and looked him in the eye. "Yes," she said. "This shop will always be our home. But now we'll have friends in other places too. And who knows, one day you might help me teach them." Zoe stood up, her face glowing with pride. "My mom said you were amazing. I didn't know she had a big job like that. But she was right." Maya smiled and hugged her. "Thank you, Zoe. You were the one who brought her here. You started this." Children clapped, and for a moment the room filled with joy and applause. Then Maya picked up a fresh tire tube and held it high. "Now how about we fix some more bikes, team?" The lesson moved forward with more laughter and energy than ever. Each child seemed more focused, more eager to learn. They took turns adjusting brakes, checking air pressure, and testing the gear systems. Maya walked among them, helping gently, but also letting them lead more than before. She was preparing them not just to be good riders, but future teachers too. After lunch, a van pulled up in front of the shop. The logo on its side read, "Wheelworks Community Program." Clara stepped out, wearing a simple blue blouse and jeans this time. She smiled and waved at the children. They rushed to greet her. Zoe pulled her mom's hand. "Did you really send that big offer to Miss Maya?" Clara laughed softly. "I did." And she said yes. Clara walked into the shop and handed Maya a folder. "Here are the first steps. We'll start small, just one more location next month. We'll provide bikes, tools, and even someone to help with setup. But the heart of the program is still you." Maya nodded, her eyes bright. "I'm ready." The children gathered around. As Clara opened a large box from the van, inside were brand new helmets, gloves, and colorful notebooks with the Wheelworks logo. Clara turned to them and said, "These are for all of you. You're the first students of something very special. One day when there are workshops in cities all across the country, people will remember this little shop where it all started." The kids' eyes sparkled with joy as they picked out their gear. Maya watched them with a full heart. Later that afternoon, Clara and Maya sat on the front step of the shop, watching the kids race their bikes down the block. The air was warm and filled with laughter. "You know, Clara said you remind me of someone." Maya turned. "Who?" My mother, Clara replied. She was a school teacher. Let out. She believed in every child. Never gave up on anyone. See that same fire in you? Maya looked down at her hands, still stained slightly with grease. I don't have a degree. I don't know fancy words. I just fix bikes. No, Clara said, shaking her head. You fix lives. It's one child at a time. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Maya said, I always thought I had to stay small to stay true. But now I realize I can grow and still keep my heart. Clara nodded. Exactly. That evening, after everyone had gone, Maya stood alone in the shop. The tools were clean. The bikes were parked in neat rows. The lights were low, but the warmth in the room remained. She walked to her workbench and looked again at the business card, now joined by a signed agreement letter. She picked up the letter, pressed it gently to her chest, and closed her eyes. She thought of her father, of how he once taught her to fix a broken wheel with just patience and kindness. She thought of Zoe's little hand raising that first chain. She thought of Claire quietly watching, then stepping forward to offer the chance of a lifetime, and she smiled. The door creaked. Open. Zoe peeked her head inside. I forgot my notebook. Maya handed it to her. Don't forget your helmet, too, Zoe grinned. Thank you, Miss Maya. As Zoe left, Maya whispered, Thank you, Zoe. Then she turned off the lights, locked the door, and stood outside as the sun dipped below the rooftops. Her little bike shop had become more than just a place for repairs. It had become a seed of change, a place where kindness, skill, and belief had grown into something beautiful. And the journey was just beginning.